Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in G7 summit in Canada's Kananaskis later today will hold bilateral meetings with leaders of Italy, Canada and Ukraine on summit sidelines. Israel and Iran continue to conduct extensive strikes on fifth day of the conflict. Israeli kills Iran's wartime chief of staff. Iran hits Israel's military intelligence directorate and Mossad's operational center. Indian students moved out of Tehran over safety concerns. Some Indians leave Iran through border with Armenia. NEA establishes 24/7 control room in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Canada this morning to attend the G7 summit at Kananaskis, with discussions with world leaders to be focused on crucial global issues including energy security, technology and innovation. Upon arrival, PM Modi in a post on social media said, and I quote him here, "Landed in Calgary, Canada to take part in the G7 summit, will be meeting various leaders at the summit and sharing my thoughts on important global issues. Will also be emphasizing the priorities of the Global South," unquote. PM Modi is visiting Canada at the invitation of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney after successfully concluding his two-day visit to Cyprus. This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to Canada in a decade. He is on a four-day, three-nation visit of Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. And DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh reports from Canada's Alberta.
As the gathering of the leaders of arguably the most powerful 7 nations of the world, the Western powers, began here in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta, war continues to dominate the agenda of the G7. And it's not the Russia-Ukraine war alone, given the fact that President Zelensky has been invited to attend this time around. It is the latest Israel-Iran conflict that continues to dominate the agenda here in Canada.
While Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney wants to push his agenda for strengthening global peace and security, building critical mineral supply chains and creating jobs, issues such as US tariffs and the conflicts in West Asia and Ukraine continue to dominate the summit.
Der Fortschritt des Irans.
This issue, Iran-Israel conflict, will be very high on the agenda of the G7 summit.
Am Freitag militärische Ziele.
And this is an issue on which there are divisions within the grouping on how the conflict could be brought to an end. All that the G7 leaders could agree upon is to issue a joint statement calling for de-escalation. Canada has already ditched the idea of a comprehensive joint communique and is expected to issue chair summaries instead. Apart from the G7 countries, leaders from India, Ukraine, Mexico, Australia, South Africa, South Korea and Brazil will be attending the outreach session on June 17th. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Canada, marking the second leg of his three-nation tour after Cyprus. He will exchange views with leaders of G7 countries, other invited outreach countries, and heads of international organizations at the summit on crucial global issues, including energy security, technology and innovation, particularly the AI energy nexus and quantum-related issues.
This is the 6th consecutive time that India has been invited as a G7 guest country, which speaks for itself about India's importance in the world. There will be discussions on the sidelines within the G7, or also on the sidelines with all the invitee countries, with the G7 countries, especially on topics of energy security, innovation, emerging technologies, quantum, AI, things which affect all of us today.
The Prime Minister will also hold several bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit.
Apart from India's participation in the outreach session of the G7, Prime Minister Modi's bilateral engagements with world leaders would be significant, especially the one with Mark Carney, which could well prove to be an opportunity to reset the ties between the two nations. With cameraman N.A. Sivakumar, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Alberta, Canada.
And a group of 7 nations have expressed support for Israel and labelled its rival Iran as a source of instability in the West Asia. In a statement issued late on Monday, the leaders called for peace and stability in the region. The joint statement backed by Trump, released by Canada, urged that the resolution of the Iranian crisis leads to a broader de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, including a ceasefire in Gaza. The statement also said that Israel has a right to defend itself and stressed the importance of the protection of civilians as the growing attacks kill civilians on both sides. Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the United States also stated their conviction that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The air war between Iran and Israel, which began on Friday when Israel attacked Iran with airstrikes, has raised alarms in a region that had already been on edge since the start of Israel's military assault on Gaza in October 2023. And US President Donald Trump cut short his G7 summit earlier today, although he rejected claims that his early departure from the G7 summit was related to efforts towards a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Trump rebuffed French President Emmanuel Macron's claims that he left the G7 summit to work on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Trump dismissed the assertion as incorrect, saying Macron had no understanding of the real reason for his return, which he hinted was related to something far more significant. He added that whether purposely or not, Emmanuel Macron always gets it wrong. Stay tuned. Earlier, French President Emmanuel Macron suggested that Trump had made an offer for a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and nuclear talks with Iran could resume once a ceasefire is achieved. Take a listen.
Écoutez, il y a deux choses. La première, le président s'est exprimé il y a quelques minutes pour dire qu'il y avait des discussions qui étaient en cours, ce qui est une bonne chose. Et donc, si les États-Unis d'Amérique peuvent obtenir un cessez-le-feu, c'est une très bonne chose. Et la France le soutiendra et nous le souhaitons. Ensuite, je dis, il est absolument essentiel que toutes les frappes de part et d'autre qui se font contre des infrastructures énergétiques, administratives, culturelles et encore plus contre la population civile cessent. Rien ne les justifie, rien. Et elles sont, elles, absolument intolérables. Et ensuite, dès que le cessez-le-feu sera obtenu, et je pense que les annonces qui ont été faites par le président Trump sont tout à fait positives et le rôle que les États-Unis d'Amérique auront à jouer est clé, les Français, à leur côté, les Britanniques et les Allemands sont disponibles pour reprendre des discussions sérieuses. Discussions que nous n'avons jamais cessées.
Meanwhile, Trump administration is working on to help Americans leave the West Asian region. The U.S. Department of State has updated its travel advisory for Israel, the West Bank and Gaza to level 4, which is the highest level. The State Department warned U.S. citizens not to travel to the areas due to armed conflict, terrorism and civil unrest. They have authorized the voluntary departure of family members and non-emergency U.S. government employees from Mission Israel. And amid escalating Israel-Iran conflict, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has warned that Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei could end up like former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein.
I warn the Iranian dictator from continuing to commit war crimes and fire missiles at Israeli citizens. He should remember what happened to the dictator in the country neighboring Iran who took this path against the state of Israel. We will continue today as well to operate against regime targets and military targets in Tehran, as we did against the propaganda and incitement broadcasting authority.
Iran and Israel continue to trade fire for a fifth night, with a new wave of Iranian strikes across central Israel reported. There were direct impact from those Iranian missiles in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Sirens blared before blasts were heard as multiple smoke trails appeared in the slightly overcast sky above Tel Aviv. The Israeli army said its defensive systems were operating to intercept an incoming threat after it identified missiles launched from Iran. Meanwhile, Israeli military said it has killed Iran's wartime chief of staff in overnight strikes on western Iran. In an official statement, the Israel Defense Forces said during the strikes, dozens of surface-to-surface missile storage and launch infrastructure facilities were struck. Surface-to-air missile launchers and UAV storage sites were also struck in western Iran. One clip appeared to show a strike on a surface-to-air launcher holding 3 missiles. After a new wave of strikes, both countries activated their missile defense systems overnight, with Israel's army briefly urging residents to seek shelter. Earlier, Iranian media reported explosions and heavy air defense fire in Tehran early on Tuesday. Air defenses were activated also in Natanz, home to key nuclear installations. Iran has meanwhile closed its airspace until 1400 local time, that is 10:30 GMT, in order to protect the safety of passengers and flight security. Iran's airspace has been shut since Israel's attacks last Friday, and flights have taken alternative routes as the two countries continue to trade strikes. Meanwhile, according to news reports, the White House is discussing with Iran the possibility of a meeting this week. The meeting is expected between U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff or Vice President J.D. Vance and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Either side is yet to make the confirmation. Earlier, the 6th round of nuclear talks between the two sides was scheduled to be held in Muscat last Sunday, but it was cancelled due to Israeli strikes over Iran. However, Oman, which has been mediating the talks, asserted that diplomacy and dialogue remain the only pathway to lasting peace. Indian students in Tehran have been moved out of the city for reasons of safety through arrangements made by the Indian Embassy. In a statement issued by the Ministry of External Affairs, other residents who are self-sufficient in terms of transport have also been advised to move out of the city in view of the developing situation. Separately, some Indians have been facilitated to leave Iran through the border with Armenia. The embassy remains continuously in touch with the community with a view to extending all feasible assistance. Further advisories may be issued given the fluid situation. And India's Ministry of External Affairs on Tuesday set up a 24/7 control room in New Delhi. Additionally, the Indian Embassy in Tehran has activated an emergency helpline to assist Indian nationals in the region. These are the contact details of the control room: 1-800-118797. This is a toll-free number, and the other numbers are +91 11230 12113, +91 11230 14104, 11230 17905, and 9968 291 988. This is the WhatsApp number. And talking about the email ID, which is situationroom@mea.gov.in. In addition, the Embassy of India in Tehran has set up a 24/7 emergency helpline with contact details on the screen. For call, one can dial +98 912 810 9115 and +98 912 810 9109, while +98 901 044 557, +98 9015 993320 and +91 8086 871 709 are available for WhatsApp. And also for Bandar Abbas, one can dial +98 9177 699036, and for Zahedan +98 9396 356649, and the email ID you can see up on your screen, cons.tehran@mea.gov.in. All right, we are slipping into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh launches banana farming vision plan in Nagaland. And in the run-up for the 11th International Day of Yoga, India's Border Security Force personnel practice yoga in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? the Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
That's exactly what saved your country.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India's Chief Economic Advisor Dr. V. Anantha Nageshwaran on Tuesday delivered a lecture at the Raj Bhavan in Thiruvananthapuram in the southern Indian state of Kerala on the theme Global Economic Trends, India's Challenges and Prospects. In his address, Dr. Nageshwaran cautioned that the world is entering a new era of uncertainty with an emerging trend of economic inwardness among nations becoming increasingly dominant. In the evolving global scenario, Dr. Nageshwaran emphasized the need for India to safeguard itself against over-dependence on any single nation. Underlining the importance of building resilience in supply chains, he underscored that cost alone should not determine our sourcing strategies. Diversification is the key. Highlighting India's comparative advantage, especially during trade regimes such as the Trump-era tariff structure, he noted that the country has the window of the next 30 years to establish itself as a reliable global manufacturing hub.
Use the next 30 years to make ourselves indispensable, because the world is realizing the vulnerabilities of depending on China, which is also a non-democratic system of governance, etc. Whereas we are much more, we have checks and balances, so we can develop ourselves as a more reliable, trusted alternative source in the world because we have the size. Vietnam, Mexico, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia don't have that size to be able to even have a shot at matching what China has done in the last 30 years. That is our opportunity.
And India is witnessing a silent revolution, one that places its 10.45 crore tribal citizens at the heart of national development. With deliberate and decisive action, the Government of India has shifted its approach from symbolic recognition to systemic empowerment, marking a new chapter in the nation's progress. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, there has been a clear and deliberate shift from tokenism to targeted empowerment. With a substantial budget increase for the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, key initiatives like PM Janman and Dharti Aaba Abhiyan are driving socio-economic transformation across the country. One of the most significant developments has been the implementation of the Forest Rights Act, which gives tribal families legal ownership of their ancestral lands. Additionally, education programs in indigenous languages and sustainable livelihood initiatives are empowering communities like never before. Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. An Indian Army contingent has departed on Tuesday to take part in the 8th edition of Exercise Shakti, a joint military drill with France. The exercise will be held at Camp L'Arcaz, France from June 18 to July 1st, 2025. It aims to enhance coordination and share best tactical practices between the two armies. During his 2 days visit to the Indian state of Nagaland, Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh launched a 5-year vision document titled Income Generation from Banana Cultivation in Wokhar district, under the One District, One Product initiative. The document outlines strategies to boost farmer incomes, promote banana cultivation as a sustainable livelihood. Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta on Tuesday inaugurated 33 Ayushman Arogya Mandir and 17 Jan Aushadhi Kendra across the national capital. Speaking at the event, the Chief Minister announced that over 1,100 more Ayushman Arogya Mandirs will be launched over the next 8 months. As India prepares for the 11th International Day of Yoga on Saturday, June 21st, yoga sessions were held at various locations with participants performing traditional poses.
Beyond the elaborate sequences often seen in advanced yoga practices, many fundamental asanas hold immense power for elevating the everyday stresses and strains of modern living. Consider the Adho Mukha Svanasana or downward facing dog that lengthens and decompresses the spine, stretches the hamstrings, and strengthens the arms. It's a full body reset, often providing a much needed energizing stretch after long hours of sitting. For those battling the common woes of back pain and stiffness, the gentle flow of Marjaryasan, Bithilasan, or the cat-cow stretch offers remarkable relief. This dynamic duo of poses, moving between spinal flexion and extension, warms the back and improves flexibility, easing tension that often accumulates in the spine. Mental well-being is significantly bolstered by certain asanas. The deeply restorative Balasana or the child's pose serves as an immediate antidote to stress, promoting relaxation by gently releasing tension in the back, neck, and shoulders. It encourages an inward focus, helping to restore energy and calm the mind amidst daily demands. Finally, the often underestimated Shavasana or the corpse pose, typically the concluding posture in most yoga practices, is arguably one of the most vital. It's a deep relaxation pose that calms the mind, releases stress, and aids in grounding, allowing the body and mind to fully absorb the benefits of the preceding practice. As communities worldwide engage in mass yoga demonstrations, these accessible asanas serve as a reminder that profound benefits of yoga are not reserved for the agile or the experienced. They are readily available, offering practical tools for enhancing physical health, elevating stress, and fostering a sense of inner peace in the tapestry of our everyday lives. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga kicked off Yoga Bandhan in New Delhi as part of the build-up to International Day of Yoga 2025. The event began with a serene prayer and warm introductions as foreign delegates joined hands in the spirit of yoga and global harmony. Organized by the Ministry of Ayush, Yoga Bandhan is one of 10 signature events under International Day of Yoga 2025 aimed at strengthening global ties through institutional and people-to-people connections in yoga. Participants will engage in cultural visits, wellness sessions and collaborative dialogues leading up to the grand celebration on June 21st. And Rajasthan Chief Minister Bhajan Lal Sharma led a yoga session at his official residence on Tuesday, joined by students and security staff. He urged people to make yoga an integral part of their lives. The Chief Minister participated in the yoga session with students and security personnel. He thanked Prime Minister Modi for taking yoga to the global stage. And in Rajasthan itself, Border Security Force troops performed yoga at the Indo-Pak border outpost. The troops, dressed in conventional army cargo pants and white shirts, were seen performing various yogasanas as part of an initiative to promote overall well-being and message of embracing yoga in everyday life. Ahead of International Day of Yoga, people in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj gathered in large number to perform yoga in the water. Hundreds of participants of all ages performed various yogasanas in the water, including Surya Namaskar. They not only formed a symbolic circle of yoga with style, but also held up posters to raise awareness about International Day of Yoga. And Governor of Sikkim Om Prakash Mathur and State Health Minister G.T. Dhungel also performed yoga at the Raj Bhavan in the state capital of Gangtok. Differently abled individuals attended the event, where the Governor wished for the well-being of everyone and emphasized the importance of inclusivity in yoga. Under the theme of Yoga Andhra, month-long activities are being conducted across the state. The session was held at Sri Kota Durgamma Temple in Palakonda of the Srikakulam district and famous Sun Temple of Arasavalli in Srikakulam district. A massive yoga awareness program held at the Sri Venkateshwara University in Tirupati, in which a large number of students and faculty participated. Over 2 crore people are expected to participate in the event. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from All of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.